a once in many generation opportunity. You could make the argument that there's only been 3 or 4 moments like this in American history to get us back onto the founder's vision. You can make the argument that this is bigger than anything that Reagan even did in the 80s. You can make that argument. Not that the political victory was bigger, but Reagan did not argue for this kind of transformation. The contrast is so different between the Democrat Party and this party. Carter, Reagan had differences. They were way more similar than they were apart. They just were. Carter was just a bad operator and a pessimist and had bad big government ideas. Reagan was an optimist, loved the country. But Reagan was not trying to go and disassemble the Leviathan. That just wasn't Reagan's mandate. In fact, Reagan wanted to close the Department of Education. It was bigger by the end of his term. It's a fact. And let's be honest, this was an attempted color revolution. And we have all the tables set. The people voted for it. We ballot chased. We registered voters. We secured our elections. We won young people. We have this incredible momentum. Donald Trump is doing what he said he's going to do. He's picking all-star after all-star. Hegseth, Bobby Kennedy, Tulsi, despite all the yammering class. Oh, you can't pick Bobby. Boom. You can't pick Tulsi. Boom. And now we have some people standing in the way. But let me first just kind of set the table, and then I'm going to show you one of the senators who's standing in the way. Let's go to cut 14. 59% of Americans approve how Trump is handling his transition. Play cut 14.
Our latest CBS News poll shows that 59% of Americans approve of how President-elect Donald Trump is handling the presidential transition.
And now cut 16.
Our polling also finds many of the president-elect's well-known designees have more support than opposition, including Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Hegseth.
So here we are with this all-star team. Who could be against this? Who could be against Tulsi Gabbard, for example? Former co-chair of the DNC, privacy hawk, understands the threat and the menace of the intel agencies. She intimately understands how the intel community can lie about you, leak on you, and subvert our country. Well, I could tell you one person who could potentially be against it. He's not there yet. But again, they deploy Mr. Lankford for the dirty work of the U.S. Senate. He was obviously deployed by Mr. Mitch to go do this ridiculous bipartisan border bill that became a top talking point. I don't have a lot of time, but let me understand. Let me tell you why. Mr. Lankford from Oklahoma fits all the criteria. Number one, he is immune from the voters till 2028. Number two, he's from a deep red state. And number three, for whatever reason, he's a lackey of leadership. Now, to be clear, he has not said he will vote against Tulsi Gabbard yet, but he is peddling this repulsive garbage against an American patriot, Tulsi Gabbard. Play cut 17.
Well, we'll have lots of questions. She met with Bashir Assad. We'll want to know what the purpose was and what the direction for that was. As a member of Congress, we'll want to get a chance to talk about past comments that she's made and get them into full context. So sure, there's comments that are floating out there, but we want to be able to know the rest of the story.
What exactly do you think is the rest of the story, Senator Lankford? What do you think that would be? No, the answer should be that President Trump gets the cabinet of his choosing. Allow me to put this whole that Tulsi is a Russian asset smear to bed once and for all. Hillary Clinton invented the lie about Tulsi because she was supporting Bernie. Just like Hillary Clinton invented the Russia hoax about Trump. Same playbook, same nasty woman. Now, mind you, this is not the first time that we've seen this kind of maneuvering and kind of Senate backroom dealing. By the way, buried in the same CBS polling is the fact that a majority of Americans, 51 to 49, are against sending more arms and money to Ukraine. It is deeply unpopular to continue to escalate the conflict in Ukraine, just like me, just like Tulsi. This is a once in many lifetimes opportunity that has been given to us, that you, the American people, gave to us, gave to anyone that is remotely involved in this. And we must remember that the Senate works for the people. They are not an unelected Praetorian Guard that gets to say that we know what's better. Advise and consent, do that. But do not vote against Tulsi Gabbard, which I'm not saying Senator Langford will do, but he's flirting with some really dangerous stuff there. That is completely baseless. So Democrats basically want to smear the majority of Americans as Russian assets. That's what they've been doing the last 7 to 8 years. Remember, there are 3 or 4 plays in D.C. that you can try to accuse people basically of sex crimes. That's Hegseth and Gates. You can call somebody a racist. They're also trying to deal with Hegseth. Or you can call them a Russian asset. Instead of getting down to policy disagreements, they call you names. You see, President Trump has an opportunity given by the American people that is not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is a once-in-many-lifetimes opportunity. I was sitting down with an incredibly successful businessman this last weekend, incredibly successful, one of the most on the planet, not Elon Musk, but somebody else. And he said, Charlie, I've lived 70 plus years. This is unlike anything I've ever seen. I said, what do you mean? He said, the combination of the world's richest man, of an American comeback story like President Trump, winning the popular vote, winning the electoral vote, and then overcoming all of the things that they tried to stop him with, and then running on very transparently issues the media told you not to run on. He made the very astute point. He ran on mass deportations. He ran on bringing peace to Ukraine. He ran on tariffs. He ran on all the issues the media said, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that. And he leaned into it, and he still won in a record way on the trans stuff, et cetera, et cetera. This is a once in many lifetimes opportunity. And phase 1 was just getting more votes than the bad guys. Now we have to assemble Trump's team, which is we are living in phase 2. However, there is this major impediment from fulfilling the mandate. There is this major obstacle. And this is exactly why at Turning Point Action, we are doing one of our most ambitious projects yet, despite it being in the middle of January and early February, where we are going to encourage very directly every single one of these Republican senators that might not believe that this is a once in many lifetime opportunity. Understand, there is legitimate fear. There is palpable terror in Washington, D.C. right now. The more and more meetings that I'm in and the more senators I'm talking to, the more people they say, Charlie, this is totally unlike 2016. You see, in 2016, it was a surprise for 2 people. They were surprised that Trump won, but also the Trump team was not ready for the ambush that was awaiting them. The Trump team was not ready for all the deep state actors that were subverting. Michael Flynn being spied upon 6 days into the administration. They were not ready for Russiagate. There will be no Russiagate this time. Knock on wood and knock on glass. If there is, no one's going to believe it. Pam Bondi is resolutely pro-American and in President Trump's corner. She's not going to play ball with any of that stuff. Just think last time we had to deal with Chuck Schumer threatening you that the intel agencies have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. We have many different people saying that the Russiagate or the Russians heavily involved themselves in our election. We have a mandate this time, popular vote, electoral vote, and every single swing state, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. It's completely different. You have a Trump team that is prepared for the saboteurs. In 2016, 2017, DC wasn't afraid of Trump. They were kind of confused. How did this guy win? How do we do this? Now there is legitimate fear. This is why you see Morning Joe and Morning Mika going over to Mar-a-Lago. They are afraid, baselessly, by the way, that Donald Trump is going to throw Pam Bondi. Actually, a reported story that Joe Scarborough is very worried that all of a sudden there will be retribution against them. So they're going to go kiss the ring. And Donald Trump has been brilliant in his strategy to flood the zone. Tulsi Gabbard, Bobby Kennedy, Pete Hegseth. Over the top, you have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. All these incredible patriots, one by one by one, to flood the zone. This is a once in many lifetimes opportunity. It may never, ever, ever, ever happen again. And that's exactly why I am here in Palm Beach, to just help a little bit here, a little millimeter of help here, a little inch of help here, to not squander this. It is very tempting to want to rest on our laurels and and think everything's going to be fine. We won the election. No, now the real battle begins. And I know everybody in this audience feels similarly, because there is legitimate, this is not performative, this is not faking, there's legitimate shrieking and gnashing of teeth in the kingdom of Washington, D.C. Because there's an element that didn't exist last time. You have Elon Musk with one of the most popular platforms on the planet, X, which is now at the top of the App Store like every day, who is going to broadcast the revolution live. They can't control that, and they know it. It really bothers them. No longer is it going to be the conduit to CBS, ABC, NBC. Oh, here's this. No one listens to that stuff. Legacy media is dying. It's decreasing. The Hallmark Channel is beating CNN and MSNBC and radio. Now, I know it's Christmas. People like Hallmark movies, but still, no one is watching that stuff. The revolution is being broadcast live on X, and the American Renaissance is underway. And they are afraid that Trump is going to do Schedule F, that Trump is going to just throw Doge at them. Meanwhile, we have reforms at DOJ, reforms at HHS, Truth and Transparency, Reconciliation Commission, pardons for January 6 nonviolent offenders, pardon for Ross Ulbricht, not to mention JFK files being released. How can they play defense against this? They can't. Donald Trump is blitzing the linebackers, and they do not have the protection to be able to keep their little regime happy. And so we cannot squander this, and personnel is policy. However, standing in the way and the immediate threat is not Chuck Schumer. It's not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's not Nancy Pelosi. It's not Hakeem Jeffries. It's none of those characters. No. Standing currently in the mandate that the American people gave them, standing in the way are some, not all, are some slow-moving Senate Republicans. Now, we want to take an encouragement posture here on this program because these people haven't necessarily told us how they'll vote, but they are foreshadowing it. They're trying to tell you a little bit ahead of time, it's not going to go great. And we're going to name some of those names of these people that inexcusably think that the American people voted for them. The American people voted for Trump, and they begrudgingly filled in the Senate Republican bubble after that. And Dave McCormick gets it, great man. Bernie Moreno gets it, great man. Tim Sheehy gets it. You see, these recently newly minted Senate Republicans are all for Donald Trump's picks because they are fresh and they know, holy crow, I would not be here if it wasn't for President Trump. But these old pros, these old bulls that are inherited from a generation-long loss where they still think that Russia's our greatest enemy. Oh, no. They think that the revolution can be stopped there, but we, the people, are going to make sure that we have a different set of circumstances than years prior.